When doing holiday decor, how many cast of characters is too many characters? And when is a problem solver a problem creator? This is our midday lighthearted show, Holidays LALATE, and thank you for joining me in an exciting day in which there's breaking developments on your second stimulus check minutes ago. And more push is underway as Republicans and Democrats align to argue get the darn stimulus check in the package. What are you doing here? Do you agree? I agree. Thank you for joining me for Holidays LA. 10 minutes of updates about your second stimulus check. And at the 10-minute mark, a little bit about holiday decor. How to keep it easy breezy and lighthearted during this holiday season. And also free, using stuff around the house. But the big question as we sit here today is, when did Congress suddenly wake up? And why have they woken up? Well, you know why they woke up, because of you, the Purple Power. Today, if you go to NBC's major lead story, the major lead story is, why did these people in Congress fail, again, to include a stimulus check? And it doesn't stop there. It actually reaches out to leading congressmen that says, I'm going to vote against it unless they put a stimulus check in there. And more people today have come out in favor of the Purple Power, arguing for stimulus checks. A new report out today says that Republican Senator Josh Hawley is urging that people reject the CR proposal unless there's a stimulus check in there. And last night, Democrat AOC, who I've been detailing the last 8 hours for arguing for a stimulus check, actually gave a statement and said, you know what? This is ridiculous. There has to be a stimulus check. So let's get to the details. The details as you sit here today is that stimulus checks were not included by either the Republican or the Democratic proposals for the CR. There is no bill, there are only memos. And while Democrats sat back and supported the moderate plan, which I say was authored by the problem creators, not the problem solvers, Joe Biden, AOC, Bernie Sanders yesterday woke up after 3 days of urgings for this channel on the Purple Power. What are you doing? There's no stimulus check in here. There's no eviction moratorium. And now it's loud and clear. Across broadcast news, every single element of the political spectrum, Fox News this morning, NBC News this morning, CNBC, MSNBC, all have stories that say everyone wants a stimulus check in there in Congress, and the people who authored these two proposals miss the ticket. Let me recap where we are today. A stimulus bill was not originally intended to be in a CR, which is a congressional resolution, a budget bill. But a week ago, this channel pushed for stimulus in the CR, hashtag CR for stimulus. That is now the reality. We got that done. We got stimulus in the CR. The reason why this is important is it has to be done by December 11th. Now, it's not really December 11th. It's actually a few days before. It's about December 7th, December 8th. They can't really do this down to the last second. The most they could probably do is December 9th. So that was then. Then, midweek, this last past week, two proposals came out. Neither proposal had a stimulus check in there, and neither proposal had an eviction moratorium. And I thought, what's going on here? The problem solvers came forward and we said, we solved a problem. We got bipartisanship. They didn't solve a problem. It created a problem. The problem creators, whose two heads are both Republicans out of New York and New Jersey and don't represent the interests of Midwest people, Southwest people, New England, Southeast new representative citizens, sat back and said, this is really good. It's not really good. It was a big bailout for businesses again. Where is the stimulus for individuals? How about people on SSI and SSDI? How about single moms? How about working moms? How about young kids getting out of college and driving Uber and Lyft? Where was their stimulus? All I saw was big bailout for New York and New Jersey type businesses. And suddenly, it sort of went quiet. And in the next few hours, by mid-Wednesday, we started to hear movement. And then suddenly the problem creators admitted there was not much agreement on anything, with the exception of the extension of UI and PUA. Then came Joe Biden. Joe Biden said, I absolutely believe that a $1,200 stimulus check is still in play. $1,200 stimulus check is still in the negotiations, and there should be a $1,200 stimulus check in there. The breakthrough. The first one said you have to have a stimulus check in there. He didn't stop. He then says you have to have an eviction moratorium in there because everyone's going to be evicted on January 1st. Achievement number two. But it didn't stop there. Bernie Sanders, the Democrat out of Vermont, was the most vocal. He said, this is abhorrent. When you look at a bill or a proposal like this, and you're talking about people who need relief, the question is, who's going to get the relief? He said, you look at this proposal, the vast majority of Americans won't get a penny, a single penny from this, because they don't own big businesses and drive fancy cars. This is a big bailout package again. He said there has to be a stimulus check or I will urge all Democrats in the Senate to reject it. Now, what's important to understand is that the Republicans weren't getting support, and now the Democrats were falling apart. Then AOC, late yesterday, says she's not supporting it either, and she will call all progressives in the Democratic Party to reject it in both the Senate and the House. The progressives are in both houses of the party. So suddenly Nancy Pelosi's own constituents were falling apart. And then last night, AOC made it even clearer. AOC went on national news. NBC's Garrett Hayak, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, interviewed AOC about the issue. And AOC made it very clear. If people don't get unemployment assistance, and if they don't get a stimulus check, then relief isn't going to be felt in their lives, not in a substantive way. So while I support resources to hospitals and schools and firefighters, absolutely. But I'm extremely concerned that's not going to solve the problems. What she said is that, yes, we need money for hospitals and schools. But she says if you don't get a stimulus check, what are you going to do? Now, the big news today is that Representative Josh Hawley, who is a Republican, Senator Josh Hawley, who is a Republican, came out and says, you know what? This doesn't work. I will work with AOC and anyone else who wants to help working families. Families and working people in need and should be the first consideration relief, not the last. And he said that a $1,200 stimulus check to all Americans needs to be included and that progressive lawmakers and conservative lawmakers now want this. This is incredible great news. So what you need to do, social media, on social media, Purple Power, is get the message out loud and clear. Make it very loud and clear that the problem solvers are not problem solvers, they're problem creators. They're problem creators. They omitted a stimulus check and eviction moratorium. They need to be understood that there needs to be a stimulus check in there and eviction moratorium. Otherwise, there's no deal. It's black and white. It's a line in the sand. It's this or nothing. Stimulus check and eviction moratorium or nothing. Let me give you an example of what's going on here. When you look at both proposals and you look at them really carefully, the people who are getting millions and millions of dollars in these proposals are very, very rich people who have a lot of money in the bank. And that the people who are hurting the most are getting next to nothing or zero. Airlines, money. Hotel owners, money. Restaurant owners, money. Should I continue? And when I'm talking about money, I'm not talking about a few dollars. I'm talking about $2 million. A restaurant owner can get $2 million for the stimulus package. How about the worker he laid off? Nothing. How about the worker who's now on unemployment? They'll get about $100 maybe for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. There is an extension of UI and there is an extension of PUA. There's one thing they got right. Now, we would take an idiot not to get that right. Your unemployment assistance runs out under the federal law of FPUC on December 31st, and your PUA expires on December 31st. We all know that FPUC expired in July. These people who have half a brain cell allowed that to expire in July. So were they going to allow PUA and UI to expire again December? No. This time they're not going to be stupid 2 times in a row. They're going to extend this for 1 month. But how about eviction moratorium? What about an eviction moratorium? It doesn't make sense. Let me explain to you what January 1st looks like in this country. January 1st, you will see people thrown on the street and evicted in the thick of winter. You will see people without unemployment assistance. You will see people who were not working people like SSI and SSDI not get a stimulus check. And these people think this is a solved problem. They haven't solved anything. They're causing a problem. Now, let's do the math. We love math on this channel, don't we? When you look at the math, we had great news yesterday as Larry Kudlow confirmed some numbers for us without a calculator. And what he said was, hello, it's someone tuning in from Haiti, is what Larry Kudlow confirmed to us is that it cares at SBA. There's $600 billion of unused SBA money from PPP. And Larry Kudlow said, why aren't they repurposing that money? He used my exact words. Why aren't they repurposing that money? That same day, we learned that a stimulus check costs $300 billion. Okay, $300 billion. Why is the current round of CR proposals proposing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to restaurants and hotel owners again, when it only costs $300 billion for a stimulus check? Let's make it even easier. It doesn't even cost anything for a stimulus check. The money's already there. You just write one little sentence and say, hey, the money's already at SBA. Let's repurpose it as a stimulus check. It's so simple. So the good news, the really good news as we sit here this afternoon at a midday of holidays, LALATE, is that liberal news, moderate news, conservative news all has stimulus check as the #1 story today. It's actually a story that broadcast news agrees upon. And now it's a story that Republicans and Democrats agree upon. The only two people who haven't agreed upon it are the people who wrote the proposals. That's what you have to do, is you have to really push this to the finish line. Tag Tom and Jerry, Tom and Josh, the problem creators. Make it very clear to them. What are you doing? There has to be a stimulus check in here. There has to be eviction moratorium. Tag your supporters, AOC, Sanders, Biden. They all want, and Josh Hawley, 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 Senator Hawley, say it very clear to them. I support you. We need a stimulus check and we need eviction moratorium. And there you go. What I gotta say is the time frame of work is very tight. If you look at December 11th on the calendar, December 11th is not the day they'll come to agreement and a kumbaya. They'll come to a kumbaya around December 8th. Look on the calendar to see what day December 8th is. It's Tuesday. So you potentially have 2 working days to get this message out and loud and clear. If not, government shuts down. So push very loud and clear. Now, let me go over some other things that are very exciting across the board. If you have been looking for that CARES Act 1 grants, if you've been looking for that free stimulus checks from your state, if you've been looking for additional rounds of rent, free utilities, the good news is that states left and right are suddenly opening the door with their boxes and finding money. And what I gotta say to you is, yeah, we can sit back and be sort of cynical about the situation that they said they had no money. Well, everyone who said they had no money, these states, suddenly they have money, and they have a lot of money. So what I want you to understand, and your focus and my focus, is that if you looked up in, for example, Mississippi, I'm just using Mississippi as an example. Mississippi has no money. They told everyone they have no money. There's nothing for anyone. They used all the money. What I want you to understand is they have all said that, and now they're finding money. And so if you found nothing 2 days ago, understand that things are coming out right now. New York, the whole state of New York has a rent grant coming Monday. The city of New York has a rent grant. The city of Houston has a rent grant. The county of San Diego has a rent grant. Uh, Alabama, Louisiana, people have gotten big rent grants. West Virginia, Virginia have gotten big rent grants. In California, they're doing strange sort of business grants all over the place, $25,000. Then in certain states, Colorado, stimulus check, New Mexico, stimulus check. These things are just sort of hitting everywhere. When we're talking about the free money, and now it's getting a little bit overwhelming because there's so much of it, you got to understand we now have really five things. We have the state stimulus check, a check where it's for anything you want to use the money for. You want to fix your car, you go fix your car with the check. You want to paint your house, you go paint your house with the check. They have stimulus checks some states are coming out with. Then they're coming out with free money for rent. And that free money for rent is in states that said they had no free money for rent just 3 days ago. Free money for rent. Then they're coming out with free money for utilities left and right. I got to tell you that people always ask me, well, I own a house. What else do I qualify? Or I don't pay for rent. Someone else pays for my rent. What else do I qualify? So what's important to understand is that the utilities all are giving stimulus, free stimulus. So it's important to understand that there's free stimulus everywhere for utilities. Finally, what's important to understand is that if you looked 2 days ago, understand there may be something today. Georgia, nothing 2 days ago. Suddenly, county after county after county, Georgia, rent, 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 rent. And that's what's really shocking. And so we're staying on top of it. Let me give you an example. One of the volunteers last night said, hey, I literally did 30 cases, 30 viewer situations or cases in the last 2 days. All of them were on the brink of homelessness. I found rent for all of them. I have another viewer who in New York had given up on Wednesday, but on Thursday night, a viewer told us about a rent grant in New York City. I told the volunteer who was working her case, reach out to her right away. Here is the new rent grant. She got it. She got $5,000. Her life has changed. Alabama State Housing Authority, Michigan, city, state, and county. And there you go. Let me answer some of your questions now about CARES Act 1. Gary from New Mexico, congratulations, Gary. New Mexico is giving out those big $1,200 stimulus checks. Other people with questions. Thank you for the 340,000 subscribers. Why so serious? Because my jaw's sort of hurting. So, yeah, it was a little overwhelming. Does Sir Loin need some stimulus? I'm sure he does. Happy to those people who got an assistance. Ohio, we have a volunteer just for Ohio. Minnesota, yes, keep on looking. Keep on looking. Student loan repayment extension to January 3rd. Did you hear that somewhere? I don't see anyone putting that in any of their bills. Washington State Utilities? Absolutely, of course. We have a volunteer just about Washington. Massachusetts, of course, Gene. Tyrone got $14,000 in Boston or somewhere in around Boston. Pennsylvania, yes, someone got rent from a private organization in Pennsylvania. What if I've already been evicted? So you could get a new apartment. They're giving first and last and utilities. Are they extending the government another week? No. I heard the December 11th deadline got extended. I don't know who told you that. It would require an act of Congress to extend the December 11th deadline. How do you get a volunteer? YouTube.com/LA/community. U.S. lawmakers are tentatively planning to introduce a 1-week stoppage bill. Yeah, tentatively doing a memo that tentatively says this, and more of that. Missouri, yes, utilities everywhere, and in the county of St. Louis, rent. North Carolina, yes, rent and utilities in North Carolina. Are the ones on SSIDI getting the stimulus? Yes, everyone would get a stimulus check. But your SSI stimulus check is a separate bill coming in January. Texas, yes. Houston gave me $1,200 from the Catholic Charities, but they paid some bills, but I'm behind. They only give it to those on the time only. And Catholic Charities in Houston has helped a lot of viewers get rent, but they're now closed, I believe, for Houston. But the city of Houston's now doing rent. Oklahoma, yes. Do you have to be directly affected by COVID to get any rental assistance or any assistance of any kind? Yes, but I mean, who's not affected by COVID? You don't have to, and you have to understand that these words affected sometimes overwhelm people as though you have to have lost your entire universe. No, your universe does not have to have absolutely crumble to be eligible for these things. Increase in weekly UI benefits. Join me on Being a Mitch. I'll go over that on that video. Upstate New York, yes. New major New York rent grant across the board. Uh, Being unveiled by Cuomo on Monday and Tuesday. Ohio, yes, rent. We have a special volunteer just for Ohio. Miami-Dade, Christine, yes, Miami-Dade has rent on their county website. I don't know if it's still live as of today, but it was live a few days ago. Miami-Dade County's website, go right on it. Alabama State Housing Authority. Dallas, yes. Dallas viewers have gotten stuff there as well. How do I apply for Michigan? Well, first you got to find it. I owe you a drink. Well, I appreciate that. Louisiana State Housing Authority, Political Action Group, Urban League. Louisville, there's a private organization paying rent in Kentucky. I believe it's Rise. Washington, we have a volunteer specifically on Washington, knows a lot about what's going on in Washington. South Carolina, yes. Where do I sign up? I don't know what you're signing up for. Georgia, all across your state, massive rollout, and Georgia was not even there a few days ago. Is there anything you can do if you've been required to quarantine for 10 days? Yes. So if you've been ordered to quarantine, you may qualify for PUA. But PUA has an eligibility line that says quarantine because of COVID. Is it Georgia closed? I'm having problems finding it. No, Georgia just opened. Well, I don't know what DOL means. But Georgia rent is just opening. Are we getting stimulus in December? That's the big fight. That's what the videos are about. How do I sign up for Ohio? You got to find it. One thing I want to say, which I haven't really said, is that now and then I have a viewer that says, "Can you just send me the link to sign up?" And in the digital age, a lot of people think that everything is very online, a website. You just go in there, you touch an app, and you're paid. So someone said, what website do I go for assistance in North Carolina? And so what's important to understand is that sometimes these things require a telephone call. Sometimes these things don't have an online application. You know, in the universe of SBA and EIDL, you go on to sba.gov and you apply for an EIDL. You don't have to pick up the phone and call anyone. But a lot of these states don't have things with a website that you go on, you apply. Sometimes they have a phone number. Sometimes there's a person you contact. So understand that when looking for it. I had to call in Tennessee, says Tammy. There you go. So Tennessee, she had to call. One viewer actually sent me this crazy remark yesterday. You'll enjoy the laugh because I thought it was crazy. She said, "Why don't you just make a list of every website you have to apply for a grant in every city and county across the country?" I would never die. I would die a quick death. 5,000 links to 5,000 websites of every city and county in the country. No, that's not going to happen. But the fact that someone thought that everything is done by an online form is what I want you to understand, is that not everything is done by an online form. With that, let me turn to a little bit of holiday decor. It's important to understand when you're doing holiday decor that everyone loves cast of characters. And I don't care if it's your kid's toy or if it's an old doll sitting around the house. But there's something about holiday decor that's very festive when there's some characters like the character that has no heart. I wonder which congressional law, drop in the comments below which congressional legislator you would put this out to represent the scarecrow that has no heart, the congressional leader during the holidays that has no heart. Uh, what's important to understand is that festive characters always, I see a lot of agreement on which character has no heart on the screen. Uh, this is a guy and this is a girl. So, which congressional leaders in the stimulus negotiations do you think these would represent scarecrows that have no heart? Heartless. Dreamweaver's asking, what did I miss? We're asking which congressional leaders have no heart that these would represent. We have a guy on this side, we have a girl on this side, and they're both scarecrows. Tin Man. Oh, it was the Tin Man that had no heart. So what? There was no scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. What did the scarecrow do? Was the scarecrow? I'm getting the Wizard of Oz confused now. Oh my goodness. So the greatest thing about holiday decor is to make it a little bit unusual, and you don't want to scare anyone walking in and think, oh, that's a Speaker of the House in your kitchen. What is she doing there? But other than that, what's important to understand is not to scare people, but to keep characters really sort of unusual and fun and festive, because everyone has a doll sitting around. Everyone has an old toy sitting around. You've seen me detail toys on this channel before for holiday decor. I haven't had dolls. But dolls has no brains. Oh, the Scarecrow has no brains. I forgot. So that was what the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz had, no brains. That would be the problem creators. These are the problem creators. No brains, no brains. Where's the stimulus check? Well, I have no brain. That's why there's no stimulus check in there. Where's the eviction moratorium? Well, I have no brain. That's why there's no eviction moratorium in there. These are the problem creators from Congress. They don't have a brain, so that's why there's no stimulus check and no eviction moratorium. And the fact that you have holiday decor full of straw, oh, they can give you straw during the holidays. Is that no adult toys. Adult toys is not for Christmas. That's for New Year's Eve. As one viewer just asked me. None of them have courage. Oh, the Scarecrow had no courage as well. I forgot. I have not watched Wizard of Oz in many years, but it's important to understand is that the holiday decor brings some smarts to the decor. And the smarts is something of conversational piece. You walk in and everyone stares at a toy when you walk in, you're like, what is, oh, that's so nice. Because it takes a little bit of a response. And that's why you should always include in your decor some toys, some old dolls, put them wherever is out of the frame. Pets, if you have pets, put them up high so they don't eat the straw. And then leave the hairstyle looking like someone from San Francisco. And there you go. Keep it easy breezy, keep it lighthearted, and keep it fun. Hopefully, congressional leaders get some heart, get some brains in the next few hours. On Afternoons LALATE, I'll have more about what's going on with your check. It's going to be really pushing and changing substantially today. And what I need you to know is that Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday will just hit the fan. But join me till later today, first with check at 3:30, then purple. Purple has changed a little bit. Purple, now I'm going over those stimulus checks that your states are sending out. So tune into purple because that is now evolving into a state stimulus show. And then Being a Mitch, shortly after that, is about unemployment especially. So I'll be answering your questions about unemployment. And finally, join me on Evenings LA. Thank you for joining me on this afternoon's broadcast. As always, keep it simple, keep it lighthearted, keep it easy breezy, and keep it with LALATE.